Mustard Man comes from one of the most confusing games in the FNAF series, and this thing is a minigame of all things. Seriously? A minigame? Well, Midnight Motorist is more than just a minigame, as it's probably the single biggest piece of evidence that revealed what was going on behind the scenes of William Afton's life before Bunny Call came out, and it's what we're exploring today. Greetings gamers, welcome back to Top 10 Gaming. I'm Connor Monroe, and this is my FNAF theory. We solved FNAF's Mustard Man. We probably aren't the first ones to come up with this idea, but hey, I had fun thinking about it, okay? Just leave me be. Let's do it. The Mustard Man now is most definitely William Afton. At first, in my opinion, it was debatable between Afton and Henry, but after thinking of this, I know it has to be William. Let's go over the evidence for that as sort of a recap, but actually also let's take a look at the actual gameplay first, as explained to us by the Freddy Files Updated Edition, so we know that there's no misinterpretation or bias in my description. Quote, during the fourth lap of Midnight Motorist, hit other cars to slow down, then drive across the bottom lane. Eventually, you'll see there is an opening at the bottom of the screen that you can enter. You'll be led to another screen, where it's raining and you'll just be one purple car driving along a winding road. As you drive to the U-shaped bend in the road, crash your car into the dark clearing in the trees. You can get out, you'll find that your character is yellow, not purple, and walk to an open spot in the trees. In the upper left corner there is an unmarked pile of dirt. Get back in your car and you'll reach a fork in the road where you can either go left or continue straight. If you turn left, you're brought to a parking lot where there's a restaurant called Junior's. There's a green man standing outside the restaurant. Park and get out of the car. As you approach the green man, he says, "Come on, you know you can't be here. Don't make this more difficult than it has to be." Nothing else happens. Get back in your car and turn right. Keep driving until you reach a blue house. You can get out of your car and walk around the house. The sound of music fades away and is replaced with the sound of rain. The closer you get to the house, the more it zooms in on your character. Go to the front door and enter the house. The game falls silent. There's a person dressed in gray sitting in a chair in front of a TV. A gray person says, "Leave him alone tonight. He had a rough day." Go down the hall and knock on the door. You'll shout, "I told you not to close your door." Then, "This is my house. He can't ignore me like that." Then, "Open the door." And finally, "I'll find a way in from the outside." Leave the house and walk around to the back. The window is broken and there are two sets of footprints, one human and one animatronic. Your character says ran off to that place again. He'll be sorry when he gets back. The biggest point of concentration in this minigame is the yellow guy, or aptly named Mustard Man, thanks to the community in MapAd. The most prevalent theory is that the yellow man is William Afton. This was started thanks to the similarity of the car used in the game and the car William is shown driving in the Take Cake minigame from FNAF 2, and both scenes are raining. This was further supported by the fact that this secret portion of Midnight Motorist is called Later That Night, which seems to be pointing us towards this taking place after William killed Charlotte and Take Cake. This would also explain who the one on the chair is. It could be Michael, who's watching TV like he does at the end of Sister Location's nights. But some have speculated that it could be the mother, which is supported by the lack of pronouns used for this person, but could also be used for Michael if he was in fact a robot, since technically he wouldn't be a he. And the one in the bedroom who was lured away could very well be Crying Child, who was brought to a Fazbear location by one of the animatronics. This is presumably what made William want to make him afraid of the animatronics. The biggest question here though is why? In a game about tying up loose ends is a random guy who's a color we've never seen before being introduced. There has been no yellow man before, especially with an important enough role to be a main character. Now the yellow of the character could be a reference to the yellow of Spring Bonnie suit that Afton uses to kill kids, since we know that he just came off of killing Charlotte, and that could be what this is referencing. However, I think there is a more elegant solution, and honestly it's something that's been proposed in a couple ways. But I think that we can confirm, or at least get close to confirming, one reason. Since yes, the yellow is a reference to Spring Bonnie, but it's because Purple Guy hasn't become Purple Guy yet. Purple doesn't represent corruption or remnant injections, it represents being possessed by the one you should not have killed. We know that the missing children's incident hasn't happened yet, since Crying Child is still alive, being able to run off to that place again, confirming that the year is at the latest 1983 before he gets chomped. And what helps us solidify this as the year Midnight Motorist takes place is it's the year Charlotte dies. We don't hear about this in the games, and there's no indications of that in Security Puppet, but thanks to the books we learn that the actual Charlotte dies in 1983, not the robot that we've been following in the books, but the actual child that she was before Afton got to her. So thanks to this timeline we can establish that after William gets home from killing Charlotte, Crying Child is still alive, meaning that he dies later in that year, also disproving the whole he started killing because he lost two kids theory. This also shows us that Charlotte died before the events of the missing children's incident from 1985, so we now know that Susie was not the first first victim overall, but the first of the missing children. Now, this may be confusing because while yes, in this game he is yellow, when he killed Charlie in FNAF 2 he was purple, but that's simply because the color differentiation hadn't become a significant factor yet. There was no reason that he would have had to be another color other than purple only 87 days after the first game came out. Hell, he didn't even need to be purple, it was just a color to represent a shadow. But now, this makes even more sense, since the purple comes from the one you should not have killed, who appears as a shadow at one point during the Man in Room 1280 story from Bunny called The Fifth Fazbear Frights book, which was intended to be the last one, might I add. This also makes the line of the shadow fears me from Ultimate Custom Night's Nightmare make additional sense, since Nightmare is representative of death, and both the one you should not have killed and William would ultimately fear death. But who is it? Who is the one you should not have killed? Well, at this point we still can't confirm. Since William isn't purple, the one you should not have killed hasn't possessed him yet, so if Crying Child was dead, it would have been a clear and shut case. But since we know he's alive thanks to him being sorry when he gets back, and Michael being in front of the TV showing us that he's not at what would have been Crying Child's party, we can't rule Crying Child out for being the one you should not have killed. He hasn't died. If he had died and William wasn't purple, it would have been the end of the discussion, but since both Crying Child and Cassidy are alive, it's still anyone's game, at least theoretically speaking in this context, since I'm still certain that Crying Child is the one you should not have killed. This also means that we need to throw out any instance of purple guy's appearances in FNAF 2, technically, since we can't be sure when he was possessed. We know that it was William, so not that information we need to throw out, but we can't work assuming that he had been possessed by the one you should not have killed during FNAF 2, even though technically the other minigames would have had to happen in 1985. So there we have it, friends. Mustard Man solved. Thanks to the color of the character, we know that the purple color indicates being possessed by the one you should not have killed, and that it can still either be Crying Child or Cassidy, since Charlotte died in 1983 before Crying Child meets the same fate. But I have a feeling this is still leading us towards Crying Child being the one. But I'll have to find some more evidence for that because everyone else is certain on Cassidy. Open your mind to new possibilities, bruh, friends, comrades. Thank you all so much for watching. I have been in Showermate Connor Monroe, and I'll see you in another video. Okay, now stay on my face. Don't go to the face of my shirt, damn it. Stupid camera. This is why AI will never win. I gotta make sure I'm actually like able to be under the mic. I wanna make sure my mouth is underneath it. If you turn left, you're brought to a parking lot where there is This is why I don't film after eating. Also, I write the one you should not have killed as TOYSNHK, also known as Toysink. That's the one you should not have killed, Toysink. Open your brain tank, bruh. Here comes some premium octane knowledge. That's not the quote. It's close to it though. I think there's a 9 in there somewhere. Barney Stinson. And that it can still either be Crying Child or Cassidy. Wow. Christ again.